B-sides.
Hey guys.
Hey.
So that was great. So tell me, what's the songwriting process with all of you guys, and who wrote that song specifically?
That song in particular I wrote in a little house in Tacoma before I moved to Seattle, and recorded like a real rough vocal, take of it, and emailed it to Buddy Ross. And he, laid some beats on top of it and mailed it back to me, and we started a process of like probably 75 emails. It was one of the hardest songs to nail down. We went back and forth on it a lot, but I think it kind of became one of the more mature tracks on the album because of that process.
Is that usually how a process will work? Like someone will write down a few lyrics and then you'll kind of just go back and forth?
This album did, like, Daniel came in and recorded just him and his guitar and most of the songs, and then just kind of programmed beats and played keyboards on everything, and then went in and did real drums and stuff later. But I think the whole process is changing now that we have a full band playing. We're all starting to figure out how we work together, and we're starting to write that way too now. So
there's a few songs that we play live now that we've kind of written either on the stage or in the practice space collectively, where everyone kind of just comes in when they feel it's necessary. We encourage each other on parts that we like.
And what is the song? I mean, what does it mean to you? What's it about?
I think Seer is about, an attempt to commit to any action that you're pursuing. It's a river is kind of a mighty thing that once you're fully in, it's going to sweep you away. It's going to take you somewhere else. It's going to transform you in one shape, or either you end up on the other side or you end up downstream quite a ways. So yeah, it's the idea of kind of no holds barred, burn the boats, stick to it.
How big has King of Diamonds been for you guys? Just moving to a different song, which totally sounds different than the song you just played.
Yeah.
How big has it been? Because I mean, I have satellite radio, it's all I listen to, but they play it repeatedly. How big has it been? Have you felt a change?
A change from what?
Just like, do you feel any differently?
Yeah.
Getting a lot of traction off of the song.
We've only been touring on this album since May, and so truly it's all brand new for us. Every time someone shows up at a show, we're like, wow, but people respond the most to King of Diamonds when they hear the first few licks of it and they'll cheer, and that's kind of a good feeling. So I think it's definitely pulled its weight for the album.
Cool. You guys mentioned that you're in Seattle now. I'm curious, so much was made of the Seattle rock scene in the 90s. What is the scene now? It's not that you can speak on behalf of all of Seattle. I'm just curious.
Oh, sure. It's very different than it was back then. Yeah. I don't know if any of us lived there. Some of us weren't alive in the early 90s. I was alive. I was alive. I lived in Seattle. 92. I guess we were all alive.
Were you all alive in the 90s?
Yeah.
All right.
80% of the 90s were alive.
So I would feel so old if you guys were not around in the 90s.
Oh, I was definitely around in the 90s. Anyway, the scene is very different, I remember taking trips to Seattle when I was a kid, and there was a guitar shop on every corner, and everyone was wearing a flannel and jeans with holes in the knees, and speak of the devil. Anyway, and there was a lot of this loud, kind of angst-ridden music, and now there's not so much of that. There's obviously the notable bands that have come out of Seattle recently, the Fleet Foxes and the Head and the Heart. It's a thriving hip-hop scene there, but this folk thing, I think, is
pretty folky.
Yeah, is kind of the new stamp on the Seattle scene.
Folk is the new grunge.
Yeah, kind of is.
I think there's some soul music coming out too that's we're going to start hearing about really soon.
And that's really just our sort of neck of the culture world too. There's a lot of psychedelic bands that have been doing the 60s thing for quite some time, for the last 10 years or so, I'd say. And there's a metal scene in Seattle. I mean, it's a pretty thriving arts community. So it's just like any other metropolitan area has all kinds of music. But what's hitting the map, yeah, I'd say the folk thing is really spilling out into the rest of it.
Where do you guys fit in there?
I don't know.
I could try, but I can't
kids, and, you know, we like swap shows with the rockers now and again. I mean, we pulled Mike out of a band called Shim, and they're nothing less than, you know, hard rock. So and we had played a bunch of shows with them. So we somehow managed to like bridge all of those wacky like genre gaps and kind of like be able to play with everybody. And like part of why we're doing what we're